Hello everybody, how are you today? Before we get into this, I would like to show you this. Looks exactly the same, correct. But this is made in China. While this is made in Italy. Untitled Express made in Italy. Right. Why would I have this if I have this? Come on, people. Let's figure it out. The bottom of this was not treated correctly. I'll show you. Unscrewed it. This is the filter, which everything was cleaned. Filter is in perfect condition, even inside. But unfortunately, this is what's inside. Some of you might say, nah, that's just corrosion. I've cleaned this with baking soda, with cold water, with warm water, and I've cooked the baking soda to the point where it bubbled over and made a mess on the stove. I also hit this with and then I used oh Jesus, vinegar. I've also used vinegar, straight, half, and I've also cooked the vinegar, and still, it's extremely disgusting. Now, you might say, nope, that's fine, that's what happens. This thing is however many years old. Who knows? It was, I think, invented in 1933. I believe so. You could look it up. It's a Italian espresso maker, or it's a Moka, M-O-K-A, espresso maker, and you could, look that up. Underneath here is also clean. This is all dirty, but unfortunately, which I'm sure I could purchase, this has just been ruined. This is it's yellowed. It doesn't hold any structural. I'm keeping it just because it's probably original. That would go underneath in a way of like this, and then I would sit below the threads in there. So that's unfortunately what I'm left with. Saving this. This is clean, and this is gonna go, downstairs somewhere and just be forever nothing. So now I'm going to unbox this. This was at Target for $5.99 before tax. Okay, I've used it, I've tested it off camera. I'll tell you that in a minute. Nothing in the box, just plastic. Tells you what it is. Imusa, or I'm USA. Cafeteria Express Manual della Fanguli. And it tells you what it is. This is what it is. Blah, 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 blah. So we move that aside. Right off the bat, you could tell one is Italian and one is not. So underneath it, it's nice, but it has no markings. Still, everything has a pressure valve. We'll get to that. This sits nice and tight, and this sits wonky, See how it just, you could push it to one side, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's not the point. It's basically how to make espresso, but show you what it is. See, this is perfect. Oh, this has a nice permanent thing. This is a little screw. Just noticed that. See how nice and clean and shiny. We'll take it apart. Okay. Yes and no. They do not interchange. They're just ever so slightly. This is ever so slightly too big. Even this new one has this filter. This filter fits in here, but that filter won't fit because it's too long. So there's the filter, nice and clean. And here's the inside. Nice and clean and dry. Nothing to complain about. It has their little name on it. And I won't show you because I did, but this is nice and loose and very pliable and clear and all that nonsense. There's a couple of different ways to make this, only because YouTube told you to. Okay, one, you could put cold water in this. Do never exceed the top of this inside here. Do not ever go above this brass ring, because it won't be pressurized and all the stuff, and it could whatever. It actually, if the coffee doesn't make it through, it actually can explode. I don't know if there's any video, but whatever. So you fill up the water with cold water. Okay, you put this in and you put as much coffee as desired, or I'm sorry, espresso. Before I get to that, some people say put hot water in. Why do you say that? Well, when you put cold water in here, it has to take longer to boil. While it's boiling, or trying to, the surface here, from the bottom of this to this, is getting a lot of steam. It's building. What happens? It starts cooking. I know normal people won't know, but these connoisseurs over there, it starts cooking the lower layer of the espresso, and sometimes it tastes burnt. I tried it both ways, and I kind of sort of don't care for the taste of I don't notice it. So you put your water in, you put your coffee in, and you screw the lid. First, you're asking, how does this work? You fill up the water, you put it on the stove. I'll tell you that in a second. This creates, and you put the filter in, you put the coffee in, and you screw it on top, hence the rubber piece. Now that is sealed, and the water is below the pressure valve. What happens is it boils, it gets hot. Where does it go? It has nowhere to go. It's not going to blow out the valve because it's going to take the path of least resistance. So what it's going to do, it's going to boil, and it's going to be forced to come up here, and it's going to go through the coffee grinds, and it's going to come through a secondary filter, this right here, and it's going to come out of these two holes. Depending on how hot it is, well, depending if you actually know how to do this correctly, because if you do it wrong, you're going to splash coffee all over the place, even if the lid is closed. I'm sorry, in order to clean this, you break this completely down, you throw the coffee grinds in a garbage, and you take warm water and you rinse it all out. Then you take a towel or a paper towel and you dry it. That's it. And you let it air dry for a couple hours or a half a day, overnight, whatever. And you do not put it away until it's fully air dry. And you take the rubber apart and you take everything else apart. This way it stays completely clean. So that's how I make my espresso. Again, that's just the beginning. You can make Americano, a latte, a cappuccino, whatever you want. But thanks for watching. Hit like, hit subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Italiano. Ciao.